live it up. Live like it's the night of your life. You got the right to live. So go and live it up. Live like it's the night of your life. Let's start the party. Start the party. Live it up. Live like it's the night of your life. You got the right to live. So go and live it up. Live like it's the night of your life. Let's start the party. Start the party. Live it up.
I'm dangerous like tightrope. No talking, not that of a maestro. More like that lizard from Geico. When I lick, you go psycho. Downtown, I'm more famous than Michael. My game, I gave it to Tycho. Gene Simmons up my time. Whoa, got mind control. Damn control. Up to your spine and back down to your toes. Melt you, little mama, like pie mode. Hot like the summer.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Xander Effect. I'm your host, Xander Dames. It is a wonderful Saturday morning, and glad everybody is up and about. Hopefully, everybody is staying safe. It is definitely crazy times out there, but we keep moving forward. And in entertainment news, gonna talk a little bit about Star Trek Picard and all the cool stuff that's been going on with that show. I mean, it's an awesome show. I just gotta tell you that right now. They did an amazing job with it, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about that. Also, in sports, Shane McMahon is pretty much opening the door for Chuck Liddell to come on down to the WWE if he wants to be a wrestler. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. And of course, we got, Call of Duty and video game news. Call of Duty's new Warzone Battle Royale and Plunder are freaking awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and talk to you guys a little bit about that. I also have a really cool guest on the show today. His name is B. Taylor. He's one of the artists that sings on the theme song for the Xander Effect. He'll be talking a little bit about his single that just dropped yesterday, which is an amazing song, by the way, just to give you guys a heads up. And we will get into that in a little bit. But first, here is JP Castillo's Reemplazo right here on the Xander Effect.
Me dicen que te pasas hablando de mí, diciendo que sin ti no soy feliz. Me dicen que solo hablas de mí, parece que eres tú la que no olvidas. Pues baby, cuando tú te acuerdes de mí, espero que recuerdes las veces que rico te di. Y baby, cuando tú te acuerdes de mí, recuerda que te dije, verás cómo te reemplazo. ¿Te crees que porque ya no estás voy a sufrir? ¿Te crees que porque ya no estás voy a morirme? Ahora es que yo voy a empezar a vivir. Todo me va mejor desde que tú te fuiste. Me paso con mujeres todo el fin de semana. Si yo te di lo que tú querías, entonces ¿pa' qué tú me llamas? No te quiero en mi cama, no digas que me amas, que eso ni tú misma te lo crees. Por favor, deja el drama. Ahora me la vivo gastando mi ticket, VIP, mujer y botellas. Yo ya salí de mi estorbo, nada a mí me atropella. Me paso con esta, la otra, la amiga y aquella, y toditas son bellas, pero la que se crezca como te labios en la estrella. Yo no estoy pa' compromisos ni pa' enamorarme. Por fin salí de ti, quisiste engañarme. Ahora yo me disfruto la vida y perdona que así me despida, pero por donde mismo tú entraste, por ahí mismo encontrar la salida. ¿Te crees que porque ya no estás voy a sufrir? ¿Te crees que porque ya no estás voy a morirme? Ahora es que yo voy a empezar a vivir. Todo me va mejor desde que tú te fuiste. Conozco tus malas intenciones, no me importan ni tus opiniones. Yo estoy bien sin ti, no te emociones, que tú no me haces falta. Tú con lo mismo me hartas. Si te jugaste las cartas, ahora mi ausencia resalta. Pues entonces tuviste que aprender chocando con la pared. Yo te di todo y de ti todo fue pa' compromisos ni pa' enamorarme. Por fin salí de ti, quisiste engañarme. Ahora yo me disfruto la vida y perdona que así me despida, pero por donde mismo tú entraste, por ahí mismo encontrar la salida. ¿Te crees que porque ya no estás voy a sufrir? ¿Te crees que porque ya no estás voy a morirme? Ahora es que yo voy a empezar a vivir. Todo me va mejor desde que tú te fuiste. Sigue tu rumbo, que sin ti me va mejor. Estás arrepentida, pero es muy tarde. Yeah, so fast music. Hey yo, it's good. JP. Yeah.
That was JP Castillo's Reemplazo right here on the Xander Effect. Man, that's a good song. See, that's what I'm talking about. Music is what it's all about, and music heals absolutely all. In entertainment news, Star Trek Picard is absolutely amazing. I gotta tell you, I've been watching the show since it began, and don't get me wrong, I had certain reservations. I mean, you know, because we all see trailers, and we're all under the impression that trailers, you know, they make trailers to be better than what the actual show is sometimes. But in this particular case, it's actually done a very good job. The storyline is very interesting, actually, because it talks about how, and these are all spoilers if you haven't seen the show yet, or if you're planning on binge watching, you definitely don't want to hear this. But the story is basically about Lieutenant Commander Data's offspring, and that's to say that he's got twin daughters, actually, by the name of Soji and Dash. Both of these daughters they seem completely human, but they're actually androids. They're synthetics that they call them on the show, and the difference between these synthetics and Lieutenant Commander Data is that they have emotions, they can eat, they taste everything, they have spit, they have blood, they have everything that humans have. They're almost completely identical to humans, with the difference that they're not humans. They're machines. So far, one of these two sisters, these two twin androids that are Data's daughters, Daj, she was murdered. She actually was killed in the very first episode because apparently her programming activates when she's in danger or something happens, and hers was activated because she was attacked in the very first scene of the show. Her instinct was to immediately go and find Captain Jean-Luc Picard, which she did, but unfortunately when she found him, they found her, the people that are trying to kill her, they found her and destroyed her. So now the same people, or whoever they are going after her sister, Soji. And here's the kicker: the people that are trying to kill her are actual members of the Tal Shiar, Romulan, covert group. But what's funnier is it's actually not even the Tal Shiar. There's another group that's even more covert than the Tal Shiar that are trying to kill all synthetics because of some sort of prophecy. Now, this show, I'm not going to go deeply into every single episode, but so far it's gotten to the point where they've even another person that decided to come back was 7 of 9, and there's a mystery surrounding 7 of 9 because she's no longer a part of Starfleet. She's a part of some sort of a group called the Rangers or something like that protect people that Starfleet aren't able to politically able to protect. So they decide to go ahead and go out and protect these people. Not much is known about what happened to 7 of 9. Like the last that we heard, she was on Voyager. Voyager made it back to the Alpha Quadrant from the Delta Quadrant via some sort of transwarp conduit from the Borg. But afterward, nothing's really told about what happened to the crew. As far as 7 of 9 is concerned, there hasn't been any backstory to her as to how she became a Ranger. One thing's for sure, that one of the characters from Voyager, Ichep, was murdered. and Egypt was like a son to her, like because I guess she's not able to have children because of the Borg implants or whatever. So Egypt was kind of like her adopted son, and Egypt had joined Starfleet. Well, Egypt got abducted by these like people that tend to abduct Borg or former Borg, humans or humanoids or whatever, and they pretty much dissect them for parts. Egypt was one of those victims, and by the time Seven of Nine found him, he was already pretty much dead. So he died in her arms, and she took that very hard. So she became like this renegade against these people. So yeah, it's a long story, but nobody really knows what happened to her and Chakotay. Like last we saw in Voyager, her and Chakotay were romantically involved. Who knows if things changed when they got back to the Alpha Quadrant? Who knows what happened? So many things could have happened in that whole thing. So I'm curious to see what happens with Seven of Nine. However, in this last episode that they had, seems like they took over a Borg cube that was pretty much taken by the Romulans, and during a coup by former Borg that were inhabiting the Borg cube, led by Seven of Nine, actually, the Romulans escaped, and they vented a bunch of Borg drones that were in stasis, and they vented them out into the atmosphere because Seven of Nine took it over. But what's really interesting about that is that Seven of Nine, when she was activated, because she had to like link into the Borg cube, and I guess she had to be taken over by, I'm assuming, the Borg Queen. That's confusing in and of itself. But when she was possessed by the Borg Queen, one of the characters that's in the show, his name is Elnor, which is kind of like Captain Picard's protector. He's like some sort of a ninja, Romulan ninja warrior. He's pretty much of a badass character. He had stayed behind to rescue Picard because Picard had to leave with Soji, and during that rescue, he stayed behind to cover Picard's escape. Well, when he stayed behind, a lot of things happened, and he was pretty much trapped on that Borg cube because the Romulans were hunting for him inside. Then came Seven of Nine. She saved the day, whatever. But then when she jacked into the Borg cube, she became like the queen in a sense. And when she pretty much eradicated all the Romulans from the Borg cube and activated the cube, she looked over to Elnor, and Elnor was a little bit freaked out. He's like, okay, that's great. You rescued me. Now what? And so he kind of just looked at her and said, are you going to assimilate me? And she thought about it for a second. She's like, no, Seven of Nine's mission isn't over yet. And they unplugged her. What do they mean by that? I mean, is Seven of Nine being like, is there some sort of an activation chip inside Seven of Nine that she doesn't even know about? There could be so many questions to that. But of course, there are other questions going on engulfed with Soji and Picard as to why exactly was Soji created. And Soji's considered the destroyer. That's why the Romulans are afraid of her. But the destroyer of what exactly? What's happening? So many questions still in this show, and they're making it more and more interesting every single episode. I highly recommend for you guys to get the CBS Network app and pay the monthly of $9.99 a month, because it's really a good show to go ahead and binge watch, especially since apparently we're not going to be going anywhere for a while. We're going to be stuck indoors for a little bit. Might as well go ahead and make the best of it and enjoy watching a really cool show like Star Trek Picard. And in talking about watching and listening to good shows, I had the opportunity to interview an awesome artist and a former veteran, B. Taylor, and he talks about his incredible story as to how he got from the military to potentially being an NFL player to the music industry. And we're also going to go ahead and talk about his brand new single featuring Doe Brown, It's On Me. So on the Xander Effect, I have B Taylor. And man, dude, this gentleman right here has done music with Flo Rida, Doe Brown. He is considered the Stevie Wonder of hip hop. What do you think of that? How you doing today, B Taylor?
Man, I'm good. How you doing, man? Thanks for having me, Xander. Thanks for having me.
Man, thank you for being on the show, man. And so first off, let me go ahead and say thank you very much. This gentleman, ladies and gentlemen, is a veteran, is a U.S. Navy veteran. Thank you so much for your service that you did for our country, man. Let me start off with that.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. Appreciate that. It's a lot of great men and women that have sacrificed since the beginning, for our freedom. So I appreciate you thanking us. Thank you. Appreciate
No doubt. And in saying that, how in the world did you go from serving in the United States Navy to hip hop, to getting into hip hop, to getting in the music industry? I mean, like, you know how to play 4 different instruments: the piano, drums, guitar, and organ, which I'm going to ask about that one in a second, because that's a very unique instrument to know how to play. But how did you get into the music industry from the Navy?
Man, well, I always grew up, in church playing instruments. I'm a son of a preacher. My dad was the preacher. My mom was always over the youth, and I had grandparents, my grandfather was a pastor. So we've been musically inclined, and I grew up young, just playing instruments in the church. And so when I left, I played college football at the University of Missouri and decided to transfer and was trying to go through school and went to go get ROTC and got active duty for the Navy. I was just in the Navy, man. It was kind of a different, unique situation. So I kind of just, followed my pops and told me, hey, it's going to all work out. So when I joined, I was in boot camp over, 100 and some different guys from different backgrounds. They put me over the recruit division, and it was tough because for the first time, I was always a leader type and played sports, but this was different because you had guys from like really, really tough backgrounds and, tough, different, just all kind of attitudes and different things. And the thing about the military makes it great is you start to see how they break you down and showing teamwork and dedication and brotherhood to where you have all these same people from different backgrounds and different attitudes and different demeanors and different streets and people from the country, from the inner city. It's just crazy that they all work together, how they break us down and get us all to work together. So, I was in boot going through there, week 6 in the middle boot camp, they found out I was a former athlete. So I got our recruit division commanders and chiefs told the higher ups, the commanding officer, and like, man, you didn't say nothing, I was like, no, my dad just told me to keep quiet and it was going to work out, so they were like, hey, when you get done with school, you finish at school, you're going to be talking to the higher ups at A school in Pensacola, where I did my A school, my training for Pensacola, Florida and stuff. And so I did my A school for Pensacola, Florida and stuff. And so I did my A school down in Florida. And so when I went to, I was in A school, I was at the top of my school at that school with Marine Corps and the Navy. And then the next thing you know, I get called from the commanding officer of the NATTC in Pensacola. Hey, you're going to meet the Secretary of the Navy and the CNO, which is the Chief of Naval Operations, and the Secretary of the Navy for the Pentagon. They're coming here, and you're going to be taking them on a tour because you're top of your class. So I got ready for that tour, man, and that was the first time I had ever dealt with Secret Service and age. Yeah, so I was like an E2, E3 at the bottom of the talent pole in the military, and I'm taking them on tour. And I played basketball, and I actually got to guard the Secretary of the Navy.
Yeah, because you were playing all Navy and military Team USA basketball.
Yeah, so I hadn't made the team yet, right? So I guarded the Navy Secretary of the Navy. I blocked his shot on game point, and everyone was like, "Ooh!" And no, he said no. That's what Taylor's supposed to do. So after that game, I went to dinner. He had me for lunch, and he said, "Where do you want to go?" He said, "When you go to war, if I pull you back and put you on TAD." I want you to play on the All-Navy team and the Team USA, but where do you want to go for football? Because I know you can go further. Do you want to go to the Naval Academy? Do you want to go? I said, well, I got a chance to go pro. I know I could either be stationed in Chicago because you got the Bears and we got a base there, or Jacksonville. You got the Jaguars. You got San Diego, the Chargers. So I was like, you know what? can I be stationed in San Diego? And so he said, okay. So 2 weeks later, man, I'm getting a letter he sent. I marched down to the commanding officer, Captain J, and I'm on the phone with the Pentagon, man, with his advisor to the Secretary of the Navy, and they're writing letters. And I get this letter that nominated me for the All-Navy team and the team military team USA, and then this other piece of paper to put me on TAD after the war, after I served early, to put me to go to to San Diego to go to the NFL, to work with the NFL. So, man, I go do all my thing, play on the Team USA, play on the All-Navy team, do my bid during they pulled me back early off the ship and stuff from war and ship and kept me from going and longer. And so I get to San Diego. I'm getting ready, got an agent, Junior Seau at the time, introduced me to Brad DeLuiso, who was the kicker of the Giants, who helped me get an agent. So I'm going to military and training for football. On the weekend, I go up to Hollywood with my buddy, Justin, that took care of me, had been in the Navy before. It was real sharp. He was my buddy. We go up to Hollywood. We're at a function. In this setting, I play the piano because I grew up playing it. They hear me play. This dude approaches me with big hair. He's like, hey, man, my brother's famous, and my mom, that's her favorite song. Will you play this at the wedding and the birthday? I want you to meet my mom and brother. So I go with him. He ended up being Snoop's baby brother, Bing, and I meet Snoop, his mom, Beverly. Exhibit was there. It was crazy, It was crazy and everything. And so he ended up coming back. I go to meet him, and Snoop, they asked me, could I play at the wedding and the birthday, and would I like to come up to a party? And I go up to a party and stuff, and I go to the party, drink, party. I would go to the party, and everyone's there, man. And then next thing you know, he calls the bass, and I'm end up playing at Snoop's mom's birthday and her wedding. And I play the Ribbon in the Sky. And, at the birthday, and I go to the party, and Snoop had this party, and everybody's there, and I'm with Bing, and we play at her birthday, and then she asked me to play at her wedding. So I go play at the wedding, man, and they called the command started finding off, and the commander started they started going, what the heck is up with this dude, and like. So I'm in the studio getting ready for the wedding. I'd never been in the studio before, ever. And I meet Green Day and Blink 182 and Jimmy Eat World. And they asked me to go they asked me to go. I was guest of Jimmy World. I met my man, Jake Strauss.
Those are some of my favorite bands, by the way, that you just mentioned. Like pretty much all three of those right there.
Yeah, bro. So I meet them, man, and Jake Strauss takes me in, man, who happens to be he's a legend in the tour. He runs a lot of tour security. He's with Shawn Mendes now, and he's always running Blinks and stuff. So he takes me in, Jimmy Eat World, man. So I'm with them at the Pop Disaster. I meet Green Day, and all these guys was in the Navy. They were so great to me because I was in the Navy getting ready for football, man, and so I'm like, dude.
So at this time, you're not even thinking about music. You're thinking more of playing football. You're not even right there yet.
I was thinking, I was thinking of, man, my Navy job and going to football, man, and getting ready for the NFL. So I get to that and play at this. I became friends with Snoop's family, his brother and his mom, was a mom. So it's like crazy because on the weekends, they would come down, man. I'm like hanging out with Snoop's brother, right? And then, it was crazy, man. I was getting invited. So I go, and I'm still thinking about football. And I go to Eminem had a concert, and Justin, my buddy Justin, was working a show that was in the Navy. He was doing his part-time job working a concert. So we got there early. We were military guys, and we had got there early and everything for the show. And Justin goes, the security comes to us, and he goes, hey, and he looked at us. He goes, you two there? And we're like, yeah, we're in the Navy. He goes, hey, man, come with me. I'm the security. So we walk with him to the back, man, and I meet Proof and D12. We're on the tour bus and Eminem. And so Proof was like, man, I said, he was like, I was like, yeah, I did this with Snoop and did this with everything. He was like, you know what? I want you to do something for me for D12, man. Will you do that? And I was like, what do you want me to do? He's like, man, I just want you to make some music in the studio. I heard you were talented. So, man, I'm still in the Navy. We hanging out all the time. We hanging out that whole concert with the whole Eminem camp, D12, you know, and became friends with them, man. And we go back to the base the next day, and everybody's like, what? And because Justin, he happens to be with me at every time I'm going. You know, he was with me with Snoop in the beginning. He was with me with Green Day and Blink-182.
Yeah.
He was with me with Eminem. You know, he's my Navy buddy that was with me and all this going. And so, you know, we go, you know, and go to that. So at this time, my warrant officer base is like, what the heck? We got this guy bringing chargers on the base, getting ready for football. He's doing the music. They're like, what the heck? And it was so unique.
You skipped a few steps.
Like yeah, they were like, you check in with a letter from the Secretary of the Navy as an E2, E3. You come in over here, you get back, you're on the All-Navy Team USA. You come here, you get here 2 weeks. You ain't been here 2 weeks. You meet Snoop Dogg. You're planning Snoop stuff. The next week you meet Green Day and Blink. You're there, and then all of a sudden you're with Eminem and D12 at this you know what I'm saying?
You're pretty much like what happened with you is that it all happened all at the same time, all in bulk.
At the same time, man. And so I'm like, what? So I'm still focusing on football and military, even though I was befriending in that. So my parents had moved to Vegas, and and so I got put into this. I had an agent, real estate agent at the time, that got me into this Painted Desert golf resort, and this golf resort was 55 and older. And so, yeah, I'm 24 years old, so you know I'm not 55. So you know, I wouldn't be able to get in, you know. But she got me into this elite Painted Desert resort in Vegas, man. So I'm moving my stuff and there, and I was going to be going back and forth still, you know, going back and forth to San Diego and Vegas, and I had this keyboard. And at that, I had an extra piano, so I was playing that night. So the next day, man, I come downstairs, and the neighbor, he was older. He was like, hey, man, I heard you playing. Thank you for playing that keyboard. That soothes my wife. My wife has cancer, and your music was soothing. And I was like, man, I appreciate that.
That's awesome.
And then he goes, hey, speaking of that, he goes, what are you doing? I was like, yeah, I was playing sports. I got a little music background, work with this. He goes, honey, he yelled at his wife. He goes, honey, you always speak. There's a Motown legend that comes through here. He's one of the founding members. You always speak to his wife. What's his name? And she's like, oh, I don't know her name. I just wave to the wife and speak. And he goes, oh, I know his name. But he goes, the husband never comes this way. Rarely he comes this way down the street. He goes, he lives back in here. And he goes, oh, I got his name. My neighbor goes, his name is Pete Moore. As soon as he did that, a gray Mercedes pulled, and it was Mr. Moore, and my neighbor hawked him down, and Mr. Moore rolled his window down, and he said, Pete, Mr. Moore, you meet this? I said, hey, Mr. Moore, you know, I'm at the Navy, football, had great letters from the Pentagon and doing sports. I love what you've done for music. I've done a little music with some people and stuff. He said, you know what, kid, here's my number. Call my secretary. She's going to let you in the house. I want to hear what you got in 45 minutes. So I'm running in the house, getting everything together. I'm like, dude, I'm about to go down to Smokey, the founder of Smokey and the Miracles, first group of Motown founding forefathers, man. I'm about to go. So he takes me into this room, man, Xander, and I get into this room, bro, and he had every award and every Grammy, Hall of Fame, pictures with Sinatra to the Rat Pack to Marilyn Monroe to Michael Jackson. Yeah, bro. It was everything you want. World Music Awards, Rolling Stone top 500 songs, everything you would want as an entertainer was in that room. And he took my CD at the time and he played. He said, what is this? I said, this is me as the artist and the producer and sing. He played 2 songs for 45 minutes. He goes, who did the music? I said, I did. He goes, who wrote? I said, me. He said, he looked at my military letters and my pack, he said, and my sports pack, he said, you what we've been looking for with the Miracles. We've never done this. Get your manager, agent, people on the phone. So I get Sam and the other. I'm like, Sam calls somebody like, hey, Sam, I know you ain't going to believe this. I only been here. And I just bumped in. I'm at the house of one of the Smokey and the Miracles founding members of Motown.
So real quick, slowly but surely, the football career was starting to fade away, like, little by little, starting to fade away.
Starting to fade away, man. And so I'm meeting him, and he gets on the phone with my manager. Next thing you know, man, I call my mom and dad. And we have dinner. I'm like, Dad, I got all the legends. I took my parents to Earth, Wind, and Fire, to Cuba, all these. And the next thing you know, I'm with my parents. We with all the Motown legends, man, and the Sherry Gordy's, and Mr. Moore signs me. A couple months after that, a month later, man, I'm in the studio. I go in the studio, man. He has Mr. Gooding, Cuba Gooding Sr. in there. He has Bobby Rogers of the Miracles, him, Joe Jackson, Aretha Franklin's on the phone, B.B. King's in the studio. That's my first studio session, man. I was with those type of icons.
You were with the legends.
Exactly, bro. First, how many artists can say in their life? You got 2 members of the Miracles, Cuba, the singer, the main ingredient, B.B. King, the legend of the soul, Aretha Franklin on the phone and on speaker, and then Joe Jackson.
Wow. Man, so at this point, I mean, I got to ask you, if you had to choose, I mean, regardless of all the outcome of all this that happened to you, do you regret not going pro in the NFL?
No, man, no, because when I went back, I never forget this. One of my coaches coached me at Mizzou. He was the defensive back coach for the Chargers at the time, and I never forget this. There's a McDonald's that was down from the facility, and I was there, and I was like, Coach Stewart, I got all my stuff together, and, I got the agent and football, and the Chargers have been supportive, and the Spanos wrote a letter, and at the time, A.J. Smith, who was the GM, he wrote a letter, for me, and I'm like, man, this is a good cause for me to do. He was like, B, let me tell you, he goes, B, I go, what do I do? I go, what do I choose? And he said, I said, where do I go? He said, B, you got a chance to be football. You've played sports your whole life. You've even made it all the way this far to let the Navy let you do this with the NFL and everything with the Chargers and stuff. But you got a chance to work with the Motown greats. True. He said, don't be a dummy. You can change the world with the music, through music. You played sports your whole life. You'll never get a chance to be with the Miracle. You'll never, ever get a chance to be with the founding members of Motown. You take it. And so from that, and other couple players was like, man, you better go for that with that music. You're with the founding Motown, the legend, Mr. Moore brought you into the Motown. Are you crazy? So that's when I made the choice, man. And look where I am today, man. I'm having just a blast and a bigger impact. And, I took this story back because when I checked in 2003, I started reporting and working with, the Pentagon. And so, when I took this back to the Naval Office and the Secretary of the Navy and the Chief of Information's Office for the Navy at the Pentagon, it was like a great story because I had already had such a unique story in the military already. And then to leave the military and meet the founding members of Motown who had never endorsed the hip-hop or urban act of this generation like this from the Miracles. Never had they done something like this with this. And so for me, to do that, it went kind of where it went all the way up the Naval Office with the story, then made its way to the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs Office, to the Secretary of Defense Office. Next thing you know, man, they're being gracious to approve me to shoot on aircraft carriers and do stuff with the military. And then I'm going to the Pentagon, inside these offices that run our United States military and Department of Defense at the highest level, and then performing for presidents, the Bush family on an aircraft carrier, and their commencements of George H.W. Bush Sr.'s ship and the first library on the ship. I'm with the Bush family. And then
I was actually gonna say that because I'm like, you went from a potential football player to somebody that has earned 2 Grammy nomination considerations in 2012 for your single "Fire in Your Eyes," which is featuring star actress Polly Perrette. I mean, you have that. You went to #1 on the Billboard's Hot R&B Hip Hop Singles Sales Chart. You performed for the Bush family. President and First Lady Obama, for Ludacris, you've done so many things that it's doubtful as an NFL player you could have done all this.
Exactly, and that's what it was. It was like, I was really trying hard, and the Navy was working so graciously with me to let me, work out for football and, getting the agent and getting the opportunity and the Spanos family, going to camp, doing all this stuff to try to get ready. That was a dream of mine. And, the Navy was helping me as just a person and just a man and developing and really supporting me with what I had, and and I'm thinking here, man, this is so awesome for me to be in the United States Navy, and they've been great to me, and I'm getting ready to live a dream out football, even though I had a different detour than I thought I was going to take. And then the next thing you know, you position and you play a function from Snoop that changes your life to get into the founding members of
It
Motown.
happens. It happens. It happens in the blink of an eye. And not only that, what's really cool about you is that you still maintain being a global ambassador of music and entertainment for the U.S. military. That is really cool that you still never forget your roots. You never forget where you come from, and you still maintain that you still represent the U.S. military.
Right. It was I was sitting up in the office and my manager, Sam, we were at the Pentagon one day and it felt kind of good. We were in the Chief of Information office and with some higher ups and admirals, and, it just felt great. They were just, really supporting me and praising for my work and continue to represent, the military and the Navy in a great way. And, it made me feel good when they looked down and said, hey, Sam, B's been a great poster boy for the military and the Navy, and I was like, this is awesome. And then, just to keep doing that and, being this ambassador and advocate, and they've been so gracious to allow me, like I said, to do things on aircraft carriers, work with the military, work with the Navy, work with different military, and, and just the chairman's office, the different chairmen of the Joint Chiefs and their public affairs, and now with me working with, the initiatives and directly with the Secretary of Defense and the Public Affairs Office of our Secretary of Defense, and those. It's been an honor, man, and working even now it led to me being with the VA committee and, Armed Forces Committee, but the VA committee, the chair, vice chair, Congress Balakris, and senior leadership of the committee to, work with their task force and get their support. So it's just been like, man, it's been like a dream come true, to bridge the U.S. military with the urban pop culture and classic Motown. It's something that will never, if you would tell me I was going to do something like this, I would look at you crazy, but it's something that'll never happen again, where classic Motown, the U.S. military, and urban pop culture bridge the gap with one artist like this, with this story. So, it's been a journey, man, but it's nuts because it's one hat I'm sitting in here and I'm recording in entertainment, and I'm with, whether it's like with Flo, supportive of Flo Rida, or doing this with Snoop, or doing this with a Red Grant, or doing this, with Ray J, or doing this with various, people in the industry, or Big Meat, Big Sean, or different people. And then I switch. And then the next day I'm at the Pentagon in the Secretary of Defense or Chairman's office. You know what I'm saying? It's like two different worlds, man. No
doubt. But you've like been able to combine the two worlds, which is really cool. And I got to tell you, I mean, let's go ahead and look at what's going on presently right now. Well, first of all, I mean, hopefully we'll get Flo Rida interviewed both of you at the same time here soon. I first wanted to thank both of you for giving me the song Night of Your Life for the theme of the Xander Effect. I truly appreciate that. It's a huge honor to be playing that song every single week as my intro to the show. I mean, cool, that song, when it was first given to me, I was like, you got to be kidding me. It's like, really? I this is my song now? This is awesome,
Yeah, man. No, man, Flo's a good guy. Flo, that whole camp, man, from, Ron May brought me the shotgun, and Shotgun.
I wanted to ask you, how did you and Flo Rida get connected?
One of my managers, Lisa Jackson. So I've had my same managers from day one, which is rare in this business, because people move on and don't be loyal. But I've had the same team since I signed in 2009 with Universal. And
hey, if it ain't broke, why fix it, right?
Why fix it, right? And it takes a special type of people to be able to handle and manage me dealing with the Department of Defense and military that are high up, and then entertainment and corporate. You have to have that management that are, very knowledgeable and educated and very professional, at what they do, to be able to handle the branding and the paperwork that goes if you're doing something with the Department of Defense and filling that out, and the packages that go with stuff when you're trying to do it. So
It's
you know,
complex.
it's been great to have them. Yeah, you know, it's very complex. It's been great to handle them managing something like this. Most managers, 99% of them just manage an artist, you know, that becomes an entertainment or actor or whatever, you know, and they deal with that world in corporate, and that's a lot, but they don't dealing with the VA committee and the Department of Defense and the military and
Very much
the
so.
Pentagon, and like that's a whole different world, you know, that by the book and no nonsense tolerant, you know, no tolerance, you know, they don't allow nonsense. So for my management team to have to wear hats and manage an entertainer and producer's career, but at the same time manage my efforts with the DOD and veterans as a global ambassador and dealing with that, it's another world. So, you know, I got a special management team, you know, a special group of Arlisa and Sam. And so Arlisa was out, she met one of Flo's road managers and lawyers and they took me in. So they came out to Vegas. Flo was out to Vegas. So he said, hey man, go meet the roadman Shotguns on the road. So he called him. I went and met Flo. Then I noticed his head of security, Big Zach, played ball with me like I did at the University of Missouri.
Oh, wow. Small world.
Right. So we had common. All of a sudden, ever since I was over 4 years ago, ever since then, man, you know, they took me in. Next thing you know, I'm everywhere. We all together, man. They got me at stuff, and they just supported my stuff. And Flo is a very humble, you know, yet so talented and big, but he's so humble, man. He's one of the most humblest cats you'll meet, you know, and their camp is cool, and they always supported what I was doing, you know, with the military and what I represented in Motown and the veterans and stuff. So, you know, great person. And so, you know, going into working on my single, It's On Me, that's out, you know, one of his artists, Dew Brown, who's very talented, who grew up in Carroll City with them. And Dew Brown grew up and is close to Ball Greasy and Flo and Ross and all, that whole circle of Carroll City over there. And so
that's how you met Dew Brown.
Yeah, he's one of Flo. He's managed by Flo's management, Shotgun, and it's the Strong Arm team over there. So we wanted to do a song. We did a song called Bad Boys originally, and we thought, man, this is tight. We got a chemistry. So then, you know, my album was done, and I'm like, okay, I got to put out a single. And so, when I was down in Miami for Super Bowl, I was down 2 weeks. I was down for New Year's. I was with Flo and 50 for New Year's at Flo's Club, and was with them for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And then I came back for Super Bowl, and we was all together for Super Bowl. And so when Flo had an event at his house, we had a pool party, and Dew was there. I said, Dew was like, man, we need to do a record. We got a chemistry, man. And you know, he was like, when Ball Greasy was there, he was like, yeah, man, you know, it's like, and Flo had Afrobeat. I was like, man, we need to do records, Dew. And so I said, you know what? Shotgun was like, yo, we're going to be out in Vegas this week, coming up next week. And so I was like, Dew, I'm going to bring you out early, and we're going to record that record early, because Flo had a event with a corporate event at House of Blues. So I brought Dew out a day early, right? How this stuff worked, his flight, he was late because of an accident, so he missed his flight, right? And so it was where almost we couldn't get it booked because it was so filled up. But my assistant got it booked, flew him out. The studio session was delayed. Everything was changed. We got in that night. My man from 97.5 came up. DJ Money came up. He's the DJ for the main drive time on 97.5 out in Vegas. And he came up, and I had the song in my head with Hook. Dude came and wrote his verse. All of a sudden, we sitting there with D Money and myself and the engineer. They're like, yo, this record's crazy, right? So I'm like, yeah, this record's crazy. And so D Money left. He was on the radio. He's like, yo, that record's crazy, you guys. So I'm like, it ain't even mixed yet. So I'm like, man, let me turn this up a little bit and do what I do and let Bull. I was like, Jay Bull, let's spice it and whatever so we can play this. He's like, man, this ain't me. I was like, man, just touch it. And we do a little bit. I know we got to mix it. So the next day, Flo's doing his show, right? And I give the record before then, I give it to Chronic, his DJ, and Chronic heard it. He's like, okay, what's going on here? So at the end of Flo's show, Flav and all of them, Flav, everybody's on stage. dude's here, dude's up at the top. He said he didn't know. No one. All of a sudden, Chronic drops the record when Flo's on stage walking and the band's up and everybody's looking in the crowd and it comes on and everybody's like, what the heck? And he just tested it. And everybody came up to me and dude was like, yo, that record is crazy.
It's hot.
Y'all. It's hot, right? And so I was like, yeah. Next thing you know, man, I'm getting it. It's getting mixed and mastered. You know, send it over to the label, get the date, get the stuff with BMG, with Sony. All of a sudden, dude's like, man, I got this thing in Miami. They playing it in Miami. And then all the DJs start getting it and just that right now bubbling in Miami and stuff. And then Vegas got it. My man G6 here that in Vegas, that's out of Vegas, that does a lot for Interscope and stuff. And he gets it, gives it to DJ Nice. They playing it in different venues. I'm up here moving around. Then I went to Phoenix and my guy who does Three Wise Men, they played a record for the first time. It's just like a natural, organic thing before it's even going out, and everybody's moving, and DJs are moving on the record, and
no,
like,
it's bananas. I mean, and I'm curious, and also Quest Cross got involved in all this, right?
Yeah, that's Quest, man. I've been with Quest. We built my catalog up, man, with BMG and Sony for 6 years. You know, Quest. Even with Mr. Moore, he got it, you know, and Quest's background coming from convict music and, you know, working with Black Eyed Peas and Akon and, you know, Gaga and Dimitri like Mike Ludacris. Yeah, Quest worked with a lot of people, but me and him had the same type of background and type of demeanor. And he was just like, B, he's like, you hot, man. You've worked with a lot of people. We got to build your catalog. And, you know, and I was just building. And now, you know, Xander, I'm just so in demand. Like, I can't even take all the requests coming in and, you know, questions put me on tomorrow.
That's been a problem with you getting on my show.
Yeah, I know, man.
I'm talking to Quest, and I'm like, Quest, I need BT on the Xander Effect. He was the one that he was part of the duo that created the theme song for the Xander Effect. I gotta have him on here.
Man. I told Quest, and we got their Quest, and it's coming in, and I'm here, and then, you know, doing all this stuff, and the album's coming, a single moving here, and then I'm requested producing over here, traveling here, doing my global ambassador duties, getting ready to film it, you know, the TV show and stuff. So I was like, dang, and so it just got crazy. And then Quest calls me the other day. He's like, yo, I got you on Tomorrowland. I'm like, what? He's like, you booked on Tomorrowland. You know, I'm like, what? Like Tomorrowland, the biggest festival in the world? He's like, yes, dude. Like, I need you to do this music over for the DJs to remake it in your turn, take the vocals and remake it because we're going to release American version of all these records. This record with DJ McCaskey and Afrojack. I need you to do this over. And then
and Tomorrowland's coming out in July 2020 in Belgium.
Yeah, July, bro. And they never had something like this. And Quest calls, he's like, B, you're on. We got you booked for Tomorrowland. Get with your management. I need to get with them. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, that's what's coming now, you know, and it's like freaking left and right, man. And it's like crazy. And this is what the legends told me, you know, Mr. Moore has passed on and Joe Jackson has passed and Mr. Gooding, you know, all these a lot of legends that were me in the beginning, they passed on and discovered me. And but they told me when it would line up. And I think the biggest thing is, Xander, for me is the biggest thing that I'm doing is when Congress Balakris, who wrote the Cover Act, and basically that says he wrote this act to say how veterans and military can choose how they want to choose to be healed. We have the choice through alternative healing with this new Cover Act that gives us the choice. And those healings are, you know, music therapy, art, yoga, Pilates, any other alternative healing within this bill. And so what they wanted to do, his district is Florida, but is a senior member of the VA committee and so of Congress. And so he said, you know, hey, we want to have this one-stop shop type of place built in Florida in his district. So he brought me on his task force board with a guy that sits on my nonprofit board named Ben Smed, who is a doctoral down at South Florida University and decorated Navy guy. And then another guy named Brian, who has a meditation and stuff veteran charity. He was a Green Beret, decorated Green Beret in Stanford. He was a Stanford grad and decorated Green Beret. So they brought us all together. Congress put us on this task force board because they knew we would get stuff done, you know, and And then I went back they brought me because I had a unique situation because I was in entertainment as well and had a platform of entertainment and sports. And my ties to working at the top of the ladder in Washington with the DOD, it was like, we got to bring B on. So I said, Congressman, I live in Vegas. Everyone comes there. I have my nonprofit, and the program I run for the veterans and troops. But can I make this another program to build this one-stop shop that would look like a 24-hour fitness, anytime fitness, or lifetime, state-of-the-art? It'll have music, classes, art therapy, yoga, Pilates, gyms, tracks, in and out patient, like neurology stuff, juice bar. It'll look like that, but it'll be one-stop shop counseling for if you want to get your VA bill, need to get your GI bill, an education a counselor for if you need a home or temporary housing or you get your VA loan. They also have a counselor, crisis counselor. They have a one-stop shop of all the therapies plus the gym, a hangout, game room for military and veterans and families to help with this transition so that they can help heal and have a place, a state-of-the-art that they can heal and have a one-stop shop resource. So I went to Congressman. I said, can I open it through my brand of the One Life, which the military has supported from day one through my companies. It's called One Life. I said, I want to open it through my nonprofit, the One Life Wellness Center, and I can get it done in Vegas. I was like, everyone comes there. This would be great with the athletes, the entertainers, to have this first facility of its kind around your bill that was passed to aid and be an alternative aid for the VA, for the U.S. military and veterans. And he told me, yeah.
And there's even more people that are going to be showing up to Vegas now that the new Raiders Stadium is built.
Yeah. So I was like, if we do the first prototype here, then, we could, then government will get it, and now these become available around the country. So he gave me the authority, yes, and I'm proud to announce that we're going to be doing this in Vegas and breaking ground this year. And thanks to
that's awesome.
Business partners of mine, Natasha Moyes, who her father is Jerry Moyes, the billionaire that owns Swift Trucking, the largest trucking company in the United States, as well as SME Steel that builds the stadiums and who's part owner of the Diamondbacks and different things from her. She's a part of this wellness to build this. And Michael Lohan, Lindsay Lohan's dad, he has assembled a high net worth of billionaires and high worth people who have committed. And we're going to break this first of its art kind through my nonprofit called the One Life Wellness Center. I contacted a few weeks ago Congressman Lacris. I said, hey, Congress, I did it. It took me a couple years, but I got it together, and we're going to break ground here. He said, great, we get it. Then we're going to write an official letter from the VA and our committee to invite the Armed Forces Committee, to invite President Trump, Vice President Pence, as well as the VA Secretary on the breaking of this first of its kind one-stop alternative healing for one-stop shop that will be available for military, active duty, and veterans. And build the prototype, and that prototype that we're requesting with the president that after this prototype, it be made around the country in these One Life Wellness Fitness Centers.
Wow, that is amazing, man. I'm very happy that you got this all going, because this is something that definitely is needed, and it's something that's well deserved to many people that served in the military, man. And so this is
it is, bro. And for me to do something like that, then for me huge. To be able to do something like that, it's bigger than the music. That was my goal, to get something done for my brothers and sisters, because I was able to go do something where a lot of guys didn't have the opportunity, didn't come back, I lost friends, guys come back wounded or PTSD.
Families have lost.
Families hurting, the trickle effect with wives and kids. So for me to be able to do something and change and build a first of its kind, working with Congress on this first of its kind around his bill created that signed off to build this prototype one-stop shop of its kind, for me as a person, to have a legacy like that, it's like, man, you building the first VA hospital, or you building the first YMCA. To be able to do something and bring this together and be the one chosen to put this together and assemble the people to get this done, you know, music is one thing, but to do something like that in my lifetime, that my kids, and the world will remember the legacy of building these things that will go around the country. I mean,
That's
it's an
huge.
honor, bro.
That's
You know,
huge,
it's
man.
big,
Well,
you know.
you know, I'm sure that, you know, many families will appreciate that, man, and I'm happy that you're definitely that you got this thing going for everybody. Now, let's talk a little bit about "It's on Me." That song
bro.
came out. That song came out yesterday, and it's on all platforms as of yesterday.
Yep.
And man, let me ask you how in the this song is so awesome. I heard it, and we're gonna be playing it after the interview, dude. This song is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. I love the song.
Bro.
It's all about partying. It's all about the VIP rooms. It's all about the clubs. I mean, was this the point of the song?
Yeah, you know, like when I did it and then was writing about it in the hook and came with it like that, and then, you know, Dude vibed off of Dude Brown, which is talented, got a crazy voice, just dope artist, man, really nice. We was just vibing, and I, you know, when I did it, I was like, because it was my experience of living in Vegas and going to Hollywood.
Oh yeah, party capital of the world. Both places party capitals of the world.
Right. And then going down to Miami, and, you know, one thing, every time you go around, every club has VIPs.
Yep.
And so you got girls and people that, you know, can't get to the VIP or this is that. So it's like, man, why don't, you know, dude, we know we're going to party. I was like, why don't you just tell the girl you want to talk to her instead of just talking and running and be like, hey, girl, grab your girlfriends. Come on, man, come to the VIP because it's on me tonight. You ain't got to worry about nothing. If they serve food or alcohol, you can just drink up, have a good time. I know your feet be hurting, so you can sit at the couch when your feet get tired because it's on me. And that's how the song came on, because that's a true thing. When you go to the club, most girls want to be at tables and sitting down and be able to let their hair down and drink up or whatever. And if they get tired, their feet hurt, they want to be able to sit somewhere, you know, and sit on the couch. So it's like, girl, relax, enjoy yourself, grab your friends. We here to have a good time because it's on me. And that's where that song came from, you know, with me. And then bringing in Dude Brown on it, and we just put it, and now it's just bubbling, man. It's a fire song. I know we got a
Oh man, it's amazing,
record, man.
Oh, it's amazing, man. Like I gotta tell you, like you know, speaking from experience as a former Hollywood club promoter for over 10 years, that song is exactly the description of what goes on in the clubs and how the females feel. Like I know about that from experience, so I definitely can attest to that. It's an absolutely amazing song, man. And I gotta tell you, I love it. And so, I mean, aside from that song being such a hit, when are you going to be performing live? Like, when's your next concert?
Yeah. So you know, I'm gonna be my city release. I got releases in DC, lined up Vegas, Miami. We're gonna do it big in Miami. Then I'm doing it in Phoenix and Scottsdale. So, man, I'm gonna be all over, moving. And
you coming to LA? I mean, you coming to visit me in LA? What's going on with LA?
Sure, yeah, we're gonna do LA too, man, for sure. We gotta hit it and do it there too, but we're gonna be all over, you know, moving around, and then we're gonna shoot the video for the song down in Miami. But we hitting the spots, man. I've been, you know, I'm hitting them all the different cities and performing and doing a single CD release for it, man. And we just gonna keep it moving, going into the summer pool parties. You know, I've been asked to do
that's what I'm talking about.
At the pool parties in Vegas and Scottsdale and Miami as well. So, yeah, man, I'm just gonna be moving it around with BMG and Sony and moving around the country. And what part of the proceeds are going toward, like I told you, the veterans and military, the charity for mental health and wellness as well. So,
that's
you know, it's gonna be great, man, and stuff. So, and then I wanted to let you know too, man, let you hear about a project they put me on to be a producer with the great Damian Elliott. Damian Elliott is Grammy-winning producer, produced Marmalade for Pink and all them. He's done Pink and Mariah and a bunch of people. He's Dionne Warwick's son, and they brought me in about a month ago as a producer and feature on this new record called Let There Be Light. It's like the We Are the World. His mom is Dionne Warwick, who helped to co-write with the We Are the World with Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones and Stevie. So they brought me in for this Let There Be Light. And so I've been producing. So right now we got Kaya Flats on the song. Kaya Jones of Pussycat Dolls, Rascal Flatts, Billy Ray Cyrus, Dionne Warwick, Gladys Knight. We got Maya, Carlos Santana.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
It's an all-star team.
So it comes out. Yeah, man. Big artists on it, man. And Mike Tyson kicks off talking about it. He's reading, and I got other ball players and celebs. I'm going to have Tyrone Lua, my man of the Clippers, the coach. They're going to read it, and it's called Let There Be Light, and it's going to be raised. Kicked off Lindsay Lohan's dad with Dionne Warwick and Damon Elliott, her son, they wanted to do something like they did for We Are the World, which they raise money for family, but raise it for the problem in this country with the opiate addiction to the kids and to the youth and the veterans. And so they're going to be donating proceeds to those veterans. So I'm just glad to be a part of it, man, and to be produced, as a guy to come in and be asked to produce and be on it, of such a big record with all these names. That's what my demand, that's why I've been so crazy, man, in the studio, because I've been like everywhere, my own stuff, and then, working on records like this with, iconic names, something like this, as a producer and stuff.
No, that's definitely time consuming, man. So I got to ask you, how can the public stalk you? Where can they find you on social media so they could follow you and everything you're doing?
Oh, man, you can go to @BTaylorOfficial on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, @BTaylorOfficial. And if you want to learn about, my nonprofit event, the whole story, Motown, you can go to btaylor.com and, just expect to take a couple hours to go through the website because I got a lot to me with the Motown story and my music and the military side and what I'm doing. But you can find me at BTaylorOfficial. On all platforms, and man, I just let everyone know this is me for real. This is no facade of trying to be some guy in Hollywood, trying to make things off of military. For anybody that knows me and, from Quest, from a label to celebs, they know from day one I've been about my troops and vets since I got out because the Navy was so gracious to me to allow me and open these opportunities for me to be able to live a dream that I never would have ever dreamed of doing. So when you see me coming, and see me doing all these things, it's not a game. I eat and breathe troops and veterans and their families. I eat and breathe it, and until the day I die, I'm going to represent them on the entertainment platform. Because when I left USO, when I was leaving out of there, and guys was getting shipped out, and I never forget this, man. They was sitting there, and those guys was talking to me, and they was like, "Hey, B, you got a chance to go in football and do music. If you use those platforms, don't let the American people forget about us, because some of us might not come home." Man. We might not come home, or if we do come home, we might be wounded or messed up. Please use that platform because you have the chance. Never let them forget about me. And that stuck with me since 2000, and 5 and 6 in the heat, when I was getting ready and going. And so it stuck with me. And I said, you know what, when I get out and the Navy allows me to do this with what they're doing, I'm going to use this platform and I'm going to make this country and everybody appreciate why we are here, because it's people that have done things, since the beginning, done more than me and served this country and given their lives, to sacrifice and do this every single day when no time is off. So it's my duty as an ambassador and advocate. It's my job, to represent them in entertainment. And if I'm coming through the door for any company or any business or any record, I'm coming in, but you better know that the music thing, but I got a bigger cause. And if you come in to work with me, everything we're going to do is there's going to be some form of support to our military and our veterans and their families that sacrifice, and less than 1% that wear this uniform for our freedom. So that's what I'm about, Xander. That's B. Taylor. That's B. Taylor in a nutshell.
Dude, well, thank you so much, B. Taylor, for your service to this country and what you continue to do for our military. You know, our the men and women that serve, past, present, and future. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the music that you're giving us and the more music that you're going to be bringing to us. Thanks again for being on the Xander Effect. Hope to have you on the show again very soon, man.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. Hey, y'all got to check out my man, Xander, man. He's that dude. Man. You got to get with him.
Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate that. Up next, we got B. Taylor featuring Joe Brown. It's on me right here on the Xander Effect.
That's B. Taylor, I told you. Yeah, you did. They ain't believe it, though. One life. Dude Brown. Same game, B. Taylor. What up? Woo! So we kick it like it's kickball. Power couple. She drippin' in that Dolce Gabbana. They wanna touch her. Everybody know that's do girl. What you gon' do about it? Me and her take on the world. Now that's a true rider. And she Beyonce. Nah, in her own class. Hella book smart. I be grabbing on her real life. Since it's on me, I'ma put it on you. Sippin' on the best of the best. We playin' taboo. Kansas City 305. I'm a dirty baby. Help you with your homework. Now we getting dirty, baby. Drinking dirty slippery, baby. Got a nigga tiptoeing. Cause I made the right moves. Got a nigga going. She be in my lap snoring. I should call you FaceTime. But I got respect for her. I'ma spy your face now. Never poke a big dog. We be hella outside. Never have a side to choose. Cause it's only one side. Step right up to the VIP. Yeah, the IP, VIP. Yeah. Don't wait, cause tonight's on me. It's on me, baby, it's all on me. Yeah. Sexy models, champagne bottles. The IP, VIP. Got two models, need more bottles. I got a bottle and a model, go. Me and Dude Brown make a lot of noise. Yeah, we them bad boys. All you ladies ain't got no damn choice. I said me and Dude bad boys. A flow where them girls at. Yo shop where them girls at. D money where them girls at. I'm trying to party where them girls at. Cause after the party, it's the after party. After the party to my hotel lobby. After the lobby till 5 in the morning. It's just me and you. Cause there's only one side. Step right up to the VIP. Yeah, the IP, VIP. Don't wait, cause tonight's on me. It's on me, baby, it's all on me. Yeah. Sexy models, champagne bottles. The IP, VIP. Got two models, need more bottles. I got a bottle and a model, go. Step right up to the VIP. IP, VIP. Don't wait, cause tonight's on me. It's on me, it's all on me. Sexy models, champagne bottles. IP, VIP. Got two models, need more bottles. Bottle and a model, got a bottle and a model, go. Step right up to the VIP. Yeah, the IP, VIP. Don't wait, cause tonight's on me. It's on me, baby, all on me, yeah. Sexy models, champagne bottles. Yeah, the IP, VIP. Got two models, need more bottles. Bottle and a model, got a bottle. There's only one side. B. Taylor. Yeah, the IP, VIP. It's on me, baby, it's all on me, yeah.
That was B. Taylor, Dude Brown, It's On Me, right here on the Xander Effect. Thank you so much, B. Taylor, for being on the show, man. It was a pleasure interviewing you, and I hope to hear many more hits coming from you, man, because that song right there, oh, dude, that song, first time I heard it, I was like, oh, yeah, this is definitely going to be a very, very, a very hot song, especially for the clubs. So it's out now, and make sure you go ahead and look for it, because it's an awesome song. In sports, looks like Chuck Liddell has definitely an open door to get into the WWE. As I reported, a few episodes ago, it seems that Chuck Liddell has officially retired from MMA, but he still has that itch that many of these MMA athletes have, that they still want to go ahead and, they still want to be physical. They still want to go ahead and practice a sport that's similar to MMA, but not as not as taxing on the body, which doesn't make any sense because he wants to get into the WWE, and that takes a toll on the body too, especially at 50 years old. I mean, I got to give props to the Iceman because he still wants to go ahead and do the damn thing, and he wants to do it in a very physical sport, which is wrestling. And so far, Vince McMahon's son, Shane McMahon, was seen coming out of Craig's in LA by TMZ crew, and they asked him about Chuck Liddell coming into the WWE. And Shane's very, Shane said that he's pretty much welcome to come through. He said, quote, "I know Chuck very well, so all he has to do is give me a ring. I'd love to do that with Chuck. That'd be awesome." So that right there in and of itself is already an open door for Chuck Liddell to come to the WWE. That's something that I think many fans would gravitate towards. I mean, I'll be honest, I kind of, WWE for me has gotten a little bit, it hasn't been easy to watch, and I've kind of strayed away from it for a while. I used to be a really avid wrestling fan for many years, but it's the platform's changed ever since they got rid of the Attitude Era. It's been kind of not, it hasn't been something for me to want to watch, to be honest. But hearing that Chuck Liddell might actually go to the WWE, and also hearing about Tito Ortiz also playing with the idea and the notion of going into the WWE, that might make things a little bit interesting, because that would be really cool to have a rivalry between the two of them in the WWE, seeing as they already had a rivalry in MMA. That would definitely be something for me to want to watch. So, I'm going to keep an eye on that. And if that actually ends up happening, then I'll be tuning right back into to watching WWE again, because that would be really entertaining to watch. Aside from that, they still ask Shane McMahon whether or not WrestleMania is going to happen due to, what's going on with the coronavirus and everything. So far, Shane McMahon and the rest of the WWE seem optimistic that they're still going to hold WrestleMania. However, the Florida officials in the county where they're trying to do the WrestleMania show in Tampa Bay, they're getting very close to shutting that down, actually, due to the growing health concerns and everything that's going on. So who knows? This might be the first time in history that WrestleMania might actually be canceled, and we may not see a WrestleMania this year, or we might see it, but we might see it. There was rumors that it might be moved into the summertime, so who knows what's gonna happen. Up next, I have my report on Call of Duty Warzone, the brand new download expansion that came out this week, and I gotta tell you, it is an awesome download. But first, here is Karen Lowe's Body right here on the Xander Effect.
that I talk, I have no special concern that she might be trying to stalk. She looks so good to me, like a goddess of beauty. Just want the chance to be the one you wanna see. All the time I can spend with you and never end. Wanna know if we can be more than just friends. I will please you, baby, never teach you, lady. All I have to be yours, you know I want it, let me come and get it.
Baby, let me take you home. We won't need no clothes on, so we can feel the heat. Get in between the sheets. Tear it out like a piece. Make my heart skip a beat. You say you want it, so come and get it. You say you want it, say you want it. Say you need it, say you need it. I'm not getting it, baby. I know you want it, know you need it. Know you need it, get it. I'm getting it, baby. You say you want it, so you want it. Say you need it, say you need it. I'm getting it, baby. I know you want it, say you want it. Know you need it.
That was Karen Lowe's Body right here on the Xander Effect. In video game news, Call of Duty Modern Warfare Warzone is absolutely incredible. I mean, this game has got so much in it. It's just awesome. I've been playing it. I'm kind of a little addicted to it, to be honest with you. And there's a few things that they decided to add in this new patch, in this new download. They added Search and Rescue. They added Mayhem Mosh Pit, 10v10 Grind, Drop Zone, and Cranked. And they decided to remove Boots on the Ground War. They added a new shotgun called the VLK Rogue. And they fixed a bunch of other issues, including they decided to increase damage to juggernauts when being hit by a thermite crossbow, and they added a whole bunch of new things new small fixes and stuff like that to the game. But this game is, I gotta tell you, it's amazing. And although people are obviously there a lot of these game companies are trying to mimic, in a sense, PUBG and Fortnite and all these other games. This one, it does kind of like have a little bit of a PUBG feel to it. You do get dropped from a plane into this huge. I mean, when I say huge, I'm talking about the map is massive, and they drop you in a city called Verdansk, something like that. I might be mispronouncing that, but they drop you. They drop you in Verdansk, and in Battle Royale, it's a lot similar to PUBG. You have to go and find different weapons. It's only a 3-team mode, both modes actually, which is Plunder and Battle Royale are only allowed 3 people per player, which is pretty similar to how they had Blackout last year in the other Call of Duty, and also how PUBG has and everything. They need to fix that. They should have at least 4 people in the game, because that's how they have it in the regular multiplayer. They have 4 or 5 people or 6 people in a team. So they should go ahead and try to at least extend it to at least 4, maybe not 6 because that's too much, but at least 4. So basically, you get dropped from a plane, and the animation of the plane, of the intro to the game mode, is really cool. Actually, it's a huge jumbo jet that pops out of the clouds, and it zooms into the back of the cargo part of the plane where you're about to get dropped. So that's a pretty cool little animation that gets the game started, gets the game going for you. So you get to drop in any single part of this ginormous map, and just like in PUBG, you have to find yourself weapons, you have to find yourself different types of things in order to be able to survive. And like I said before in the last episode about Call of Duty, is that there's a gas that keeps on closing in on you, so you have to be the last lone survivors. Now, what's really cool about this is that if you get killed, you don't get killed in the game, you actually get captured, which is really interesting. What happens is that you get captured and you get placed in some sort of a prison cell. Now you stay in this prison cell for a few seconds before you get thrown into what looks like the showers of this prison, and you're given a handgun. That's all you have is just a handgun, and I think possibly like a flash grenade or a grenade or something like that. Those are the only two weapons you have, because it's a game within a game. So what you do is you have to survive. You have to be the lone survivor in this kind of like a kill, versus kill type of thing, which basically it's a last man standing mini game that they added into Battle Royale. And if you survive that, you're able to respawn back into the map of Battle Royale. If you don't, then you can't respawn at all. And I think what ends up happening is that your team has to pay to get you back in. I believe that's one of the things. That's the only way you're able to get back in. But they have to find a chest in order to go ahead and pay to get you back in. In Plunder, it's actually a different story. In Plunder, what happens there is you're actually able to come back. And the difference between Plunder and Battle Royale is that you could actually take your loadouts. Now, if you have previous loadouts in multiplayer, you could take those loadouts with you into Plunder. Now, Plunder, what it's about is that you have to go ahead and grab money, and the team with the most money deposited wins the game. They place or whatever, and you have to like the most money, the top money that you're supposed to like get together is actually $1 million, and that's the money you're supposed to go ahead and gather. Now, the team that gets the closest to that million is the team that obviously places first in the entire game. In this part, however, like if you get killed or captured, the cool part is that you just come back into the game. You don't like have that mini game where you're in the prison or anything like that. But you just get to come back. You get dropped back towards wherever your team is, and you get to keep on going. You do lose money, however. You lose like I think 5,000. Say for example, if you have 25,000, you lose 5,000, or you lose half of what you got is pretty much what it is. So if it's 50, actually it's not 5,000. You lose half of what you earned. So if it's 50,000, it goes down 25,000, and so on. So it's a really cool, both of them are really, really cool modes that I would recommend to anybody. Make sure you go ahead and check out the new Call of Duty Warzone DLC, available right now on all platforms. That's it for the Xander Effect, and that is the news in case you haven't heard it. Thank you so much for listening, and remember everyone, stay safe out there, and remember, love and music will always heal despair. We'll see you next time.
Live it up. B. Taylor. Flow Rider. Live it up. Live like it's the night of your life. You got the right to live. So go and live it up. Live like it's the night of your life. Let's start the party. Start the party. Live it up. Live like it's the night of your life. You got the right to live. So go and live it up. Live like it's the night of your life. Let's start the party. Start the party. Live it up.
Girl, I'm dangerous like tightrope. No talking, not that of a maestro. More like that lizard from Geico.
The Xander Effect is powered by 50/50 Global Music Inc., BMG, and Sony Music The Orchard, in association with Art 19 Media.